Yeah, let's monopolize on him. Here, YouTube. You see that?
Oh, he's like, it's too bright for me.
Bye. And that, now back from our commercial break.
We just heard from our #1 sponsor, Kittens in Fluff.
Kittens in charge.
Do you need a pillow stuffed? Do you need a duvet stuffed? Well, we have Kittens in Fluff to donate their fur to you.
Do you need your shoes looked at? Do you need your cotton ball swatted gently across the floor?
Do you need your arm humped in the middle of the night when you're trying to sleep and then you hear a cat meowing and it awkwardly wants to hump your arm?
Well, boy, do we have a deal for you.
We have Kittens in Fluff, the unneutered version.
Okay, so as you can tell, you're clearly listening to the next installment of Insert Something Funny Here, featuring Jen Ryan, aka the Kiz Wiz, aka Sherbert,
AKA I'm bloated. And also featuring Gabby Powell, AKA the Brazilian from Your Million.
Oh, I like it. Put it on a t-shirt.
I know you could be a rapper / singer with that name.
Could be. Jen Ryan, clearly you haven't Googled me on the internet. I used to be that. And now I'm this.
You're like, and now I've transitioned to podcasting.
Right. We both look to the left. Just kidding. Look to the right so hard because the cat's jingling and jangling around in the distance because it's been a long week and a long year and a long hour of trying to set up this podcast.
It's been a long hour trying to set up this podcast. Good thing that you have been paying attention when DeLon has been clicking chords and moving dials.
I really have been. I really have been. You know what else helped though? My black magic, and when I really got a good rub out of Rocky the cat before I walked over to the computer, I just like immediately could see exactly what I needed to do. It's kind of like That's So Raven. I touched the cat and I just went like,
well, I know everything all at once.
It was very Disney-esque. Speaking of Disney, just kidding. Speaking of Disney, how do you get to be such a large corporate success? Well, you probably should have your finances in order. That's right, folks. This is that point in the beginning where I take whatever last thing I was talking about and very smoothly transition it in to the podcast topic, which today is going to be all about bookkeeping.
Bookkeeping, keeping the books.
Keeping
Back
the books.
When books were a thing. Now it's all digital.
Now you're keeping your screens. They should call it screen keeping, but that doesn't have the same je fais ce soir.
Oh, I didn't know you spent a year in France.
Yeah, could you tell?
I could, yeah. Of course, I could be fooled by anything, so that could have been really anything.
Would you like to hear the Swedish that I learned when I went to Sweden?
Yes.
Skagendagen Hagendas.
Haagen-Dazs.
I won't let go of that. I won't let go. That is how Swedish is now. Everyone, let's adapt and agree and move forward and onward, as is tradition in 2021.
Yeah, it is 2021. And most times when people enter a new year, they want to get their finances in better order.
They want to get everything in order. Their household, their relationships, their bodies,
Their pets,
and their wallets. Ooh.
ooh, their wallets.
Yeah.
I actually need a new wallet.
I know, literally, if we're just, can we take a quick fashion break? Fashion corner break.
Fashion corner.
I need a new wallet. I need new pants. I don't have more than 2 professional lady work tops right now. Because at the end of 2020, I was like, I did the, what's it called system? The Asian lady system where I held it and I felt if it brought me joy. And none of my professional lady tops brought me joy, so I trashed them all.
Wait a minute, I want to hear this system. Backtrack that up. Back to Asian. Start at Asian. Go.
So I did that what is it called? The insert, we're just gonna insert it. We'll bleep it over my words right now.
Is this like in Mulan?
No!
I only think in Disney movies.
I know, oh right. That's super fair. So like in the world of Disney movies, she'd be like the helpful grandma from Mulan that was like, washed in brine, dip them from until they glow with pride. Remember my recipe for instant pride. But in real life, if we could get really real, it's this like HGTV channel lady, and she had like a show, and that was like her catchphrase. Let me backtrack. Her whole show was like helping rich people declutter their homes, and people would be like, "Oh, I'm just so overwhelmed. Like that table has 17 things on it," and she's like, "Walk up to the table, pick up the things. Does the thing bring you joy? Then keep it. If it doesn't, just let it go."
So is it like an energy feeling kind of thing where you pick it up and it makes you feel like filled with joy? You keep
It's
it?
like, I like that laptop. That brings me joy. It's productive. It serves a purpose every single day. I'll keep it. That crumpled up paper note next to it, though, don't even know why he's there. Toss it.
So does this apply when you're in other people's houses, let's say if they're wealthy?
Right. If you're in someone else's house, you can also pick something up, and if it brings you joy,
You get to
keep it. And if you're at a rich friend's house, it only works at rich people's houses, though.
Right.
So if you're at a rich friend's house and you pick something of theirs up, like maybe it's like their dog toy from the floor, or maybe it's like their baby, right, crawling around, and you pick it up and you're like, this doesn't bring me joy, then you can just throw that baby in the trash.
Yeah, you can like walk through a daycare and be like, this child brings me joy. I'll bring it home.
And they're like, "Ma'am, you've been here 6 times this week. You don't even have children that go in this class. We seriously need you to leave."
Yeah, we're actually calling the police right now. I'm like, but have you seen this show where there's this Mulan lady and she picks up belongings and she says how you get to keep it or let it go? And they're like, oh, really? And then we both look it up on YouTube, and then we end up just all taking the children home. And then starting like a Brady Bunch TV. No, I like the whole ritual idea though. Like there needs to be more like mystical rituals in present day because everything is
I can give you some.
Yeah, I want more mystical rituals.
I can give you rituals that seem mystical because it seems like they're touching to something bigger in life.
Yeah, like the candles thing. You said put candles in your home because it makes your home cozier, which makes you happier.
Ooh, we're back to hygge.
That's the kind of science I like.
Hygge. That's how I like my words. You can't pronounce them just by looking at them. You have to have a separate pronunciation clause in parentheses. I was going to say in pineapples.
In pineapples.
End of the day, brain. Starting in 3, 2, 1. But on that note, speaking of efficiency and getting shit together, how about we get together a cute little interview and then put it in your ear holes? How about that?
Yeah.
Take that.
How about it, people?
What are you going to do?
You like that or not?
Fake shows. Yeah.
So I have Jenny here today. She is a master bookkeeper, and I'm going to interview her all about bookkeeping and keeping your finances organized and learning all about that. So feel free to say hi, Jenny.
Hi, hello.
So Jenny, in a nutshell, what do you do?
Well, essentially, we actually do more than bookkeeping because we look at the entire picture of a business. We mostly specialize with businesses just getting started or they're still relatively small and getting established. We choose to look at the money area first because it tells us a lot of other things about the business. But in order to do anything in a business or even in life, money is involved. So that's sort of our concentration.
So how did you get into being a money manager, or however you want to, title yourself? How did you get into it? Were you always interested in like looking at businesses this way?
I think early on, I used to be a professional organizer. And I used to work in small businesses as an employee, and I would always sort of observe these red flags. I always also worked myself out of my job. So that always intrigued me, and I always sort of wanted to fix that. So then when I went into business for the first time, it really, it's the foundation of everything is the financial area. So I would start with that, and I would get all the finances organized so that we could see what exactly is it that we're working with, and then where do we need to allocate, and what type of expenses are rolling through, and can we eliminate some of those so that we can have more profit, or so we can invest in the business more for expansion. It's just sort of like detective work.
Oh, I like the way that you phrase that as detective work, because you have to kind of like sniff out things that are like going wrong so that way you can make them right.
Exactly.
Cool. So what do you love about doing what you do?
You know what's funny is I've looked at this quite a bit because there's certain aspects of what I do that I love more than others. But one of the things that I actually ask each potential client when we do the free consult is what are their goals in life and in business? Because ultimately the business is going to fund the life. And I'm very goal-oriented. I'm very target-oriented. That's what motivates me to want to help others. So I like being the problem solver and helping them figure out things to ultimately achieve those goals. That's really what motivates me.
Cool. So give me like a goal that you helped either somebody achieve or yourself achieve.
Well, let's say that someone wanted to, hire more employees, for instance, or they're overwhelmed in their business, because when you first start out, usually it's a one-man band, like one guy trying to produce and do everything else that's involved in a business, which is very difficult for most people. So when we get the money in place, then we start to sort out where exactly are expenses or money going towards expenses. A lot of times it's to certain things that are unnecessary. And then we look to see how we can bring more people on so that then that person isn't working as much and some of the tasks can be delegated to somebody else so that this person can ultimately focus more on things that they want to focus on. I've done many times.
That's awesome. That's really, really amazing. Have you worked on any like unique businesses?
Unique. Oh, that's such a good question. Let me think about this. Once I worked with a writer, and she was in the film industry. She wrote for film, and that was quite fascinating. I felt very honored to be working with her.
That's really cool. So how did she generate like income, if you don't mind me asking?
It literally was by writing scripts for movies.
Cool. That's really neat.
Yeah.
So where's one area or 10 areas that you find that most people really are tripped up about like their money situations, whether it's personal or business?
Like, where do I find the red flags of expenses?
Yeah, like what's just like, where do you think most people's blind spots are?
Well, I'll tell you this. This is a very interesting thing. So one of the things that I hear continually when I first start talking to someone is they'll say, "Oh, I have a budget," and I'll say, "Oh, okay. Let's take a look at that." Really, what they mean is that they have their flat rate expenses in an Excel spreadsheet.
Mm-hmm.
When we when they start working with us and we put together our whole system, because I have a customized system that I've designed over the years, we find really how much they're spending and in which areas they're spending. And it's usually when we present that to the client, they're like, "Whoa, I didn't realize that I was spending here," or, "Oh, this is more than I thought I was." So that kind of gives us, it can be sort of shocking at first, but it gives us the advantage of then figuring out how to manipulate that money to work for them better.
Ooh, awesome. So give our listeners just like a few tips on what they can do to kind of like gain more control or insight into their money.
I think number one would be actually looking at it. I know that sounds so silly and simple, but I really think that's why a lot of people start to work with us, because we get them to look at exactly what is there. Many people they know it in their head, but they're not actually confronting or facing the finances. They're not actually looking at the numbers. And, you'll find that if you actually look, then you start to discover. But the looking's got to be done first. Second of all, I would say, maybe having certain things on certain cards. You have certain cards for certain expenses, and, giving yourself a limit. And once you have that limit or you reach that limit, well, then you've got to sort of have that discipline to cut yourself off.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of always had like this viewpoint that like the focus should always be on making more money and not necessarily like trying to always scrimp and save. Because I come from like a background where like everybody was very, very frugal and always were like trying to scrimp and save, but like there wasn't ever like a full blown focus on like, why don't you just like focus on efforts to increase your income? Can you like speak to that?
I think increasing your income comes from creative ideas. I actually just had a phone call with a client who's on our weekly consulting plan, because we actually do bookkeeping plus consulting. It's a sort of a unique service. And we were going over what does he want to deliver as a service and a product, and how much are we going to charge, and how are we going to define these services and these products? What do they look like? What's contained in them? That all comes from creative thought in terms of, how can I expand, or how can I create something different to achieve the ultimate financial goal or financial target, which if they're looking at the finances and sort of planning, then they'll know what that target is, and then they can break it down by figuring out how many of this product, how many of this service is going to equal that target. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that
So-
like what you talk about and what you teach and what you do should frankly be taught to everybody more in depth and more consistently in school. Like I remember when I was in high school, for example, I never took like a basic finance class because we literally didn't have them at our high school. We didn't. I think we had like a general business class when I was a senior in high school, but it was like very rudimentary, and I mean, it just was not very practical. It wasn't practical information we could really use, but like what you do and teach, like I said, I think should be taught to like people so that by the time they graduate high school, they know more about finance than they know about what freaking war happened in 1860. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like when you like really like are an adult, you're like, wow, really wish I like learned this stuff instead of stupid literature in high school or in college even. It's like, why were we reading stupid classical books and learning about wars of yesteryear rather than just becoming like absolute geniuses in the finance world?
It's an interesting. I won't go down certain rabbit holes in terms of why I think it's not there, but I do think it's funny what you said, because I've often thought about this. For instance, there's always a joke and a meme about algebra. It's like, who needs to know algebra? Well, where was the money management course? Growing up. And funny enough, I actually looked into this. Was it last year? I think I started researching again because it's always been my desire to create, a self-improvement movement or development for teenagers, sort of educating and preparing kids for the future. And so in that sort of idea that eventually I will develop, I was researching what kind of education do the kids get about money management in school. So there are some organizations out there, and there are some courses, fascinating enough, but only so many states out of the U.S. are required to deliver them, but a majority do not, which is still a fascinating concept. It's like, but why? It's an everyday life thing that's needed to survive,
Yeah. Yeah. Like to me, it just blows my mind. Like when I look back on my education, the number of bullshit classes that I took was probably 99%. You know what I mean? Like the fact that I took calculus more than once blows my mind because I was never going to be like an engineer or, an astronomer or somebody who would have to know like abstract high level math.
Either somehow do it to where it's relative to real life, or don't do it at all,
Yeah, I agree. We are right and everybody else is wrong. I think that's the final point there.
Well, I'm sure many can jump on board with that theme. Everybody always loves to be right.
That's true. That's true. Well, Jenny, I can't think of anything else to ask because you're just so A to B and awesome. Is there anything else you want to add for listeners who are maybe mystified about money, or maybe are just kind of like finally figuring out like, hey, maybe I should consider money more this year since we're in a new year? Like anything else you want to add?
I think ultimately, this has been my experience, is that most people have a hard time facing the numbers and also finding time to manage it and look at it because they're focused on delivering. And so a lot of times when we first come into contact with people, they'll say, well, I don't know if I can afford you in my budget. Well, one, you probably most likely can. It's just that the money's going somewhere else. But two, it's one of the best investments that you'll ever do in finding someone that you can work with because it's going to be the foundation of growth. You know what I mean? Like if you're not going to do that step, then you might be taking a lot more time. Maybe it takes you a year to get off that platform as opposed to maybe 3 months. So, I mean, even if it's not our firm, I recommend finding someone that you can sync with and synchronize with and take that next step.
I love it. You are awesome. Thank you so much for your time and letting me interview you and sharing your wisdom. I really, really appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks for having me on. Bye.
Bye.
3, 2, 1. Segue back into the podcast. Take it away, Jen Ryan.
So everybody, we just heard from Jenny. I don't know her last name, so I'm gonna call her Jenny Wenny. And her business is called Success with Speed. And that's her bookkeeping business. So you can look her up on Instagram or on the internet of the 3 dubs.
Ooh, okay.
But it's Success with Speed. So she is taking new clients. So if you think that you want to not be a complete degrade, then go ahead and contact her for
Or
bookkeeping services.
maybe you have like 7,000 pieces of paper and you're always like really relating to the person in the beginning of an infomercial that's like tripping over a bin full of their old school, handwritten paper notes about their finances, and you're like, whoa! And you're like, I gotta get my stuff in order. And you want to be the person at the end of the infomercial that's smiling and in full color instead of in black and white. If you want to be that, then reach out to Jenny. Number 2, I am gonna say what all of the listeners are thinking. We're all very upset that you didn't make any jokes about having the same name. I'm officially lodging a complaint everywhere.
Yeah, so I forgot what I was gonna say, but I was thinking that bookkeeping is very important and you should definitely have it. I actually hired Jenny for my own personal finances because at the end of the month, every month, I would be like begging on the street corner, like homeless, because I would be like, I don't know where all my money went. So if you are just a person and not necessarily a business, you could use bookkeeping to organize your life.
Yeah, that was such a great note that, you don't really think about that, but she's absolutely right. The first step, the most important step, is like actually taking the time to look at everything that's going on.
Yes.
What's your wallet doing? When you go to sleep at night, do you know where your wallet is? What's in your wallet? Oh wait, don't sue us, whatever that tagline's from.
Yeah, and also, like, the good thing about Jenny is that she's very threatening. So if you find yourself, like, having a problem with spending money, let's say that, like, you have Amazon on your phone and, like,
You're just like,
way
whoa.
into the night, you're, like, buying stuff. And you're like, man, I wish I could control my spending.
Myself.
Jenny will send you, mail to your house, a bomb that will detonate unless you stay within the budget she emails you. So I always say the best way to control like your finances or any part of your life is to like absolute terror.
Self-intimidation. Actually, I just signed up with Jenny and I signed up for the full SAW package where if I make a purchase that's outside of my spending limit, I will wake up the next morning and all of my family will be injected with some kind of horrible life-threatening thing, and I'll only have like 10 minutes to dig through my own stomach to find the antidote. So I'm like, gosh, I really can't buy that dress.
And I have never seen your finances more organized into spreadsheets than ever before, so I gotta say that technique is working.
I've picked up a lot of bad habits, like I wake up in the middle of the night with sweats. Sometimes I cry in the shower now, and I definitely chain smoke cigarettes inside my office building in my cubicle.
But your spreadsheets and your finances are like amazing. So I'd say that's the more important thing.
But seriously though, I might have to hit up Jenny too because she's out. It's funny.
You're like, I lost all my hair, my family disowned me.
This is
I'm
a
like,
win.
yeah, but like your taxes are finally like in present time.
So it was all worth it. No, yeah. But I was thinking about what another thing she said. She said, you know, you think about like, oh, but I can't afford that. That's an extra thing. But think about it this way. You know, for some people, maybe you do need like long-term checking back in with services like that, but maybe you just need to dip in there, grab her expertise, and, you know, have a couple one-on-ones. Sorry, Rocky the cat is being funny on the counter over there now. So distracting. But maybe you only need like a couple one-on-ones to like, you know, get yourself on the good track, and maybe that ends up saving you monumental amounts like over time. Kind of like how at the marketing company that I work at, we tell our clients to think of the complete lifelong ROI that you get out of the client. Well, it's like if you invested kind of like a class, like basically treat it like you're taking a summer class. You know, that's kind of what getting a bookkeeper is all about. They're going to teach you things. They're going to bring up stuff that you weren't able to pull, you know, data-wise out of your spreadsheets or out of like whatever you are doing to track. Or maybe you're overwhelmed and you don't know where to start. They'll be able to help take some of that stress off your plate and replace it with something good, like a brownie with walnuts in it.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds really good, and I am glad you're sticking to the script tonight. But the thing with Jenny is when you bring her on, you marry her for life. So definitely know that when you hire Jenny, she's in for the long haul.
She's your one and only.
So anyway, I hope you guys all feel really great about hiring a bookkeeper for this 2021.
You really what do you always say to me? You really slurped them up good?
You really sucked them in good.
Yeah. That's not a real phrase.
Oh my gosh. What's something that you spend a lot of money on that you're like, ooh, gosh dang it, how did that happen? It can't be food.
Podcasting equipment. I'm just kidding. I mean, it wasn't really that much when you really think about it in the long-term ROI that I'm gonna get out of this.
Yeah, the millions of dollars that our fans are paying for it. Yeah, it's great.
They are just in the future.
Future. I would say that things that I spend a lot of money on are beauty care and clothes. And I'm not even like a really, I mean, you look at me, I look like a complete, like, I live in a box. Like, I look like so unglamorous.
Rich, wealthy supermodel.
Yeah, sure, thanks. Like, if you could see me right now, I just look like I'm low battery. I look like I'm low battery, exactly. That's exactly right.
Her phone popped up with the low battery at the perfect time once again. So, boppity boo boo boo. Oh, okay, so a serious answer. What do I
pressed
think?
the button and I'm not sure what it did.
I think you just sent your social security number to all the scammers online.
Great.
We'll deal with that later.
That's not as important as finishing this conversation about me spending too much money on beauty care, vitamin C serum, and clothes randomly.
Girl stuff. Relatable content. Content.
I think that when I purchase stuff I don't truly need, like my consciousness wanes and I go a little fuzzy. So it's like I don't really remember it. Kind of like when you've had like 4 glasses of wine, you're like, did I make it?
So you're saying you get high off of purchases? Wait, let me do my answer.
Yeah, what do you do, Gabby? Huh?
Yeah, let's talk about me. Oh fuck! I thought I was ready, and I put the spotlight on myself, and I don't have anything. I think I was
what do you
say,
spend money on that you're like, oh, hot diggity dog?
And you said it can't be food because definitely
Yes, it can't
food
be
is a
food.
splurge point for me.
No, I know this. We talked about this in the finance episode. I don't want to reiterate it. Don't you go there.
Doink, doink. Okay, cool. Then I guess probably. I feel like I'm the same. Like I don't think I'm that girly. I bet I spend more than I need to. I've got my soaps. I have to have like multiple different soaps. I have to trick my skin. I have the skin type where it's like my skin only likes soap and lotion while it's adjusting to the new product.
Yeah.
So I can't like just have a face soap and a face lotion that I use for years and years, like a go-to.
Oh,
like
I
I
know.
can for shampoo and body soap and the rest of that normal stuff. But like for my face, I have to constantly be rotating through different soap types and lotion types, otherwise it's like on to me.
I'm like, I just watched 10 YouTube videos to find this one product and now you don't like it? And it's like, no, I don't.
Okay, so if you want to write to us about things that you spend too much money on or tips that you found over time by yourself or through other money guru figures in your life, you can share it to us at
hello@insertsomethingfunnyhere.com
the email.
or run Instagram at insert something funny
underscore here.
because there's a troll who has the insert something funny here handle, and it's actually a troll. Literally,
Not
this
a
a-hole
derogatory term.
has a troll as a profile picture, and he is holding that handle away from us
Hostage.
just to be an a-hole. And I know who you are, theoretically, in my mind. You are the evil of all evil, and I will get you someday.
Oh my god, that's so funny to me.
Repress anger.
I realize now that we've never brought up the handle and not launched immediately into the fact that there is an account out there with a troll picture and it eats us alive. It absolutely keeps us awake at night, and we will find you, whoever you are. Meet us outside on the parking lot, 3 p.m.
I will not let this go because this is some dickery-do.
I won't let it go because I think it's fun.
Up a handle just to like hold it from sweet little angels like us, guys.
Yeah, how dare he preemptively think of that handle before us? Why not, if you have a handle like that, leave it alone in case someone needs it, in case someone starts a podcast. But I like how this episode was mostly like sugar craving based anger because I went to get some of that chocolate milk that you offered me.
Oh my god, I have 2 more containers we're gonna drink tonight.
Oh my god, okay, good, because I saw she offered me chocolate milk when we were downstairs. And then I went down to the bathroom and I stopped by the fridge like, oh, I guess I'll get some now. And I couldn't find it anywhere. And I'm like, well, that's funny. She wouldn't offer it to me and then drink it all. And then I saw it.
I actually would, because I'm such a piglet, I would, but I do happen to have extra.
I love that experience though, because I saw it in the trash and I was like, oh, you dog, you Jen Ryan, you got me. You got me good.
I guess now I should clear up that Jenny isn't actually a psychotic killer. She is amazing, but you could imagine, guys, if all this stuff was true, right?
Yeah, honestly, let's think about it this way. If we talked about normal bookkeeping praising qualities where we go in one ear and out the other, but I bet you won't forget about Jenny now. I bet you won't.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
only way to be chosen is to be remembered.
Remember. We're going full Mufasa for the
Yeah,
exit of
Mufasa
this.
in the sky during that scene in Lion King where he's crying to the rain.
I mean, remember.
Remember.
Remember. Thunder, thunder, rolling clouds. Dad! That's Simba chasing after the rolling clouds as they roll away.
Oh yeah.
Just like the end of this podcast as it's rolling away.
Yeah.
Bye, guys! Is that the ending? You say bye then if it's the ending.
Bye!
Okay, now it's the ending.
I like that you just